heard of the term DTI? There's so many confusing terms and lingo when it comes to real estate that it can feel overwhelming to navigate. But when it comes to your debt-to-income ratio, there are some historic lows that mean great things for today's housing market. Debt-to-income ratio. Basic breakdown: how much debt you have based on how much money you make. When you're seeking a loan, they're going to look at those numbers to make sure that you can afford the monthly housing payment for the loan that you're seeking. And after you close, this number can be calculated to see how you're doing on your mortgage and the likelihood that you may or may not be getting into trouble based on your earnings. As headlines get scarier and the doom and gloom feels like it's coming upon us, it can be really helpful to look at things like DTI, not only today, but to compare it over the last several decades. Look at this graph, and what you can see is today, the national DTI, or debt-to-income ratio, sits at 3.9%. What's important about this is to compare to things like the housing bubble, where it was all the way up to 7.21%, and even back into the 80s, where we were at 4.38%. These historic lows mean good things for housing. What this is showing is that the average homeowner has equity or value in their home compared to the amount of money that they owe on their mortgage. What this does is it provides cushion for homeowners who may run into a rough patch and have trouble paying their bills. Foreclosures right now are pretty darn low because if somebody loses a job or can no longer pay their mortgage, a large majority of the time they have enough equity in their house that they can sell instead of having to give their house back to the bank or foreclose. And with those foreclosure rates being a lot lower, it's good news for the housing market. In fact, to quote NBA, for the second quarter in a row, the mortgage delinquency rate fell to its lowest level since the NBA survey began in 1979. Coming off the frenzy of the last 24 months, it can feel really scary or perhaps even hopeless, but my goal is that by bringing you the data, I can ease your mind and calm your worries, because at the end of the day, my job is to make sure that you and your family can make the best informed decisions possible when it comes to your real estate needs. And whether it's got to do with debt to income ratio or interest rates or what I think is going to happen in today's market, my goal is always to write the whole story for you. And I want to give you the whole story on housing prices because they're not going to plummet like everybody's saying. I'm Lindsey Johnson, your resource for all things real estate. See you next time.